Hello everyone, this is Yeshua Said My Name. I have an update that I want to do on a statement from Pope Francis, and I'm getting this source that I'll be quoting to you from lifesitenews.com. That's lifesitenews.com/blog Pope Francis, and I'll get into the article in a moment, but basically what it's talking about is, well, I guess I can read you the quote first of all. Pope Francis says here, Pope Francis warns that those who complain may be punished by serpents. So what does that mean? Well, let me take you, first of all, before I delve into this nonsense, let me take you into the book of Numbers. We're in the Old Testament, chapter 21, verse 6. It says here in the King James, "And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many people of Israel died." Why did this happen? Okay, now this is what makes the Pope's statement interesting. Going back into verse 5 of Numbers chapter 21, it says here, "And the people spoke against God and against Moses. 'Why have you led us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread or water, and we detest this wretched food.' So the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and many of the Israelites were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and said, 'We have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you.'" So I want to stop right there for a moment. Notice that what the Pope is referring to back here took place in Numbers chapter 21, starting in verse 5. The people were complaining against Moses, complaining against the Lord. And so the Pope is referring to that on Lifesite News. This article came out yesterday, September 14th, out of Rome. Pope Francis warns that those who complain may be punished by serpents. So not only is the great accuser, or Satan, accusing him and those who work for him of sin and evil, it's all Satan, it's all the great accuser. But now if you complain against him and his prelates and his cardinals and his bishops, fiery serpents may come and bite you. He's saying, Rome, September 14th, 2018, Lifesite News, in a homily delivered on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Cross, Pope Francis curiously returned to the theme of Satan as the great accuser. Of course he is. For the third time this week. Once again, the pontiff seemed to be warning the faithful against being critical of his prelates and perhaps the way he himself is dealing with the avalanche of clergy sex scandals that has tumbled down upon the Vatican in recent weeks. So for those who may not know, what Pope Francis is referring to here goes back to Numbers, if you want to look this up, chapter 21, starting in verse 5, when the people spoke against God and Moses. So it doesn't surprise me that the Pope would compare himself to this scripture, because the papal dynasty throughout the centuries, and it's been proven on this channel through scripture, has spoken of themselves as God on earth. If you doubt this, please backtrack to my channel, and I have videos on that. I can also bring up another video quoting from papal Rome down through the centuries, how they do quote to be in the place of God on earth. They are God on earth, they say. So what the Pope here is quoting from is Numbers chapter 21, starting in verse 5. The people complained against the Lord and Moses, saying, "Why did you lead us here? We were better off in Egypt." And it says here in verse 6, "So the Lord sent poisonous snakes, or fiery serpents, to bite the people." For their what? They're complaining. So Pope Francis comes out in Lifesite News, and I mean, when I read this morning, I thought, wow, nothing should shock me anymore. Pope Francis warns that those who complain may be punished by serpents, by fiery serpents. So for those who may not know the scripture in the book of Numbers, starting in chapter 21, verse 5, this is where Pope Francis is getting this from. You're complaining against me. It's not only the great accuser, Satan, that is bringing these complaints out against me, but now you may be punished by fiery serpents if you complain against me. And, oh, wow. So right there he's comparing himself to God for being complained against. So, for those who may not be familiar with this article, please look it up on Lifesite News. It was published yesterday, September 14th, 2018, I believe the Pope is referring to Numbers chapter 21, starting in verse 5 and ending in verse 6. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit to bring to your attention. Again, no taking responsibility for his actions or the Vatican's actions. It's not only Satan that's doing all this against us, but fiery serpents might come out against you if you complain against me. Again, ending here, Pope Francis warns that those who complain may be punished by fiery serpents. So I bring this to your attention. It just never stops, does it? Shouldn't shock us. God bless. Have a good day.